Republican congressman from Florida, Michael Waltz, a former Green Beret who served in Afghanistan. Thank you so much for talking to us this morning. Robert Gates said something interesting, that President Biden should have begun evacuation when he said there would be a firm and complete pullout. And he goes on to say, if you start with that notion that we're pulling out entirely, I think that you'd have to be pretty naive to not assume things were going to go downhill once that withdrawal was complete. And just this morning, breaking news out of Afghanistan, southern Afghanistan, that there's been a suicide bombing at a mosque, 30 worshipers dead. So the fallout continues.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And that's why so many of us veterans who'd actually served there, both Republican and Democrat, in the House and the Senate, began demanding in April. I disagreed with the full withdrawal decision, but if you're going to do that, as Secretary Gates said, you have to get our people out before you get all of our military assets out. And as I said then, and we're seeing play out tragically now, once that last military asset left, you are handing these people a death sentence. Not only the Americans that you left behind, but so many who stood and fought with us. But, you know, Joy, the other thing with Gates is he famously said Biden's been wrong on every foreign policy issue the last 40 years. And the record is just all over the place. You know, he actually opposed the 1991 Gulf War, one of the most successful operations in military history, but then turned around and criticized H.W. Bush for not going all the way to Baghdad and deposing Saddam. But then he was for the war in 2003, but then turned around and opposed the counterinsurgency. And, oh, by the way, opposed the Osama bin Laden raid, too. So his record is just horrendous. And America's far less safe now that he's commander in chief.
Very interesting interview. Congressman, listen to Jen Psaki on Afghanistan. This was yesterday, I do believe, from the briefing room.
Our focus is on working with the vast majority of the international community on delivering humanitarian assistance and getting it to the right people in Afghanistan to make sure they have what they need. The United States is far and away the largest provider of that assistance.
So we could be helping out in a humanitarian sense, the Taliban trying to help feed their own people. Meanwhile, our people are still there. I mean, there's proof right there. State Department, Ned Price, watch.
Holding the Taliban accountable to their pledge of safe passage. We are not satisfied, and we are continuing to press the Taliban.
So they will resume evacuation flights by the end of this year. We will, as a U.S. government. That is further proof that we did leave Americans behind.
Yeah, well, but then he also backtracked on that and said, well, they're not going to be any type of military style evacuation. So really, I think what he was saying was these veterans groups, these grassroots organizations, many of whom have quit their jobs, exhausted their savings, and frankly are suffering, re-suffering so much in terms of their own PTSD, they're going to have to continue to get the job done. But Price also said about 129 Americans have been evacuated by these groups. Well, wait a minute. I thought there was only 100 there, according to his boss, Tony Blinken. So does that mean they're all out? Well, of course they're not all out, because that number was wrong from the get-go. It was misleading because he kept putting, Bill, this qualifier of those that want to leave. However, they determined that, because I can guarantee you they all want to leave. But these veterans groups aren't going to quit, thank God. They're doing it out of pocket, and they're doing what the State Department should be doing. Let's focus on getting everybody out rather than funneling humanitarian aid through the Taliban, who have a long, long history of skimming millions, if not billions, off the top. That's going to fund the Taliban terrorist superstate, not the Afghan people.
I just want to reemphasize Ned Price's words, holding the Taliban accountable. That is what needs to be done. That is what the Biden administration needs to do. We've pulled out. We've made a complete mess of ourselves. And now who's going to do the cleanup? That's the question.
Well, that's right. And I mean, and you know, where is the kind of or what or else what? You know, they keep talking about a better behaving Taliban. How about they release the American Navy veteran they've been holding hostage for the last year and a half? How about we have full and unfettered access to get our people out? How about they stop brutalizing minorities, hunting down those that worked with us, and abusing women? So they keep, you know, living in this fantasy land that these terrorists are going to improve. They're not. And the intelligence is clear that the Taliban and al-Qaeda are closer than ever. and Al-Qaeda fully intends to hit us again.
Well, once you withdraw,
and as long as they stick their head in the sand, this cancer is going to spread, and it's going to follow us home.
once you withdraw, you have very little leverage. Michael Waltz, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.